Okay, so first of all, we're going to flash our flight controller based on this. It says it's an FPV Betaflight F4, and we are just going to base it off that because although we already have 4.2.4, it doesn't look like our flight controller has any custom defaults or anything like that. So let's just click on Update Firmware and just wait for it to load. And I did check, and there is any FPVM Betaflight F4 here, but there is a Betaflight F4 selection here, and we can update it to the latest 4.2.8, and that is a stable release. We'll make sure that the full chip erase is checked, load the firmware online, and just wait for it to load a little bit. And once that is good, we just click on Flash Firmware. Okay, now once we've finished flashing our firmware, we just click on Connect and Apply Custom Defaults. And just click on Connect again. And there's no motor output protocol selected. Accelerometer is enabled, not calibrated. Okay, so easily done. Our flight controller is sitting on a flat surface. We can just click on Calibrate Accelerometer, which would put it on the right way up. Okay, so first things first, let's go to the Ports tab. Here in the Ports tab, we have our Crossfire hooked up to UART1, and we have our GPS hooked up to UART2. So we will choose GPS in our sensor input, and finally our smart audio is hooked up to UART6. So we just click on Save and Reboot. We click on Connect again. Okay, we close that. So first we go to Configuration tab, where we will be setting up our receiver. So our receiver is a serial-based receiver, and it is a Crossfire, so we choose CRSF. Probably a good idea to configure all of these things as well. So our motor direction, we want it to be props out. We are going to be using D-Shot, probably D-Shot 600, I think is what we would have on our ESC. And this ESC is supposed to support bidirectional D-Shot. And so we just changed the motor poles to 12 because our motors only has 12 poles. Okay, so let's name our craft as TimBurger. Yeah. All of this is set. We have air mode permanently on, dynamic filter. We also want our motors to beep. Okay, so for now we are good here. Oh, we have also changed the arming angle to 180 so that it can arm regardless of the orientation. So we just click on Save and Reboot. With our quad powered up, we can go to the receiver tab and check if our control inputs are working. So in this case, everything is working fine. My switches are doing what they should. But if your if your sticks aren't corresponding to the right or the right inputs, then maybe you can try changing the channel map. AETRs is very common, but TAER is also quite common. So this matches whatever you have on your radio. So A stands for aileron, elevator, throttle, and rudder. Oops. So if you have to change your channel map, remember to click save, and then you can try again. And so assuming your receiver is bound to your radio and you've wired this up correctly, you've set this up in your ports tab and your configuration tab, then all of this should work as expected. For our modes tab, we would set it the way I would normally set this. I would set the arm to high on aux1. I'm still going to put an angle mode. This is just in case, and I'll just put it on aux2. You could put it in a horizon on in the middle if you want. This is probably optional. I rarely use this mode anyway. We also would like to put in a beeper. I'm going to put this in aux3. So we are also going to put turtle mode in aux3. However, I'm going to put this on the high position. So in one switch, I could either have beeper and turtle mode. And finally, aux4. What do we put in aux4? Okay. Yeah, I think for now, can leave aux4 as is. Probably could add failsafe on there so that we can test if our GPS rescue mode is working. So let's just click on save. So for our OSD, I'm just going to load up. So these are the defaults, but I wanted to display the same things as in my glide build. So I'll just open up one of my dump from my glide and go to the CLI, and I'm just going to paste it all here. Click on save. Now I'm going back to the OSD tab to make sure that whatever I pasted in there is now showing up here. All of the GPS stuff is in OSD profile 3. So yeah, that's everything here. So you can just probably choose active profile OSD profile 3. So that should fix everything. And this is going to be what is going to be displayed in my goggles. Heading over to the video transmitter tab, let's load the smart VTX Smart Audio 2. I think this is just Smart Audio 2.0. So we just add a power level, make it 4, and here this is the setting for our AKK FX3. So we are just going to save that. And we can also choose our choose whatever channel or band that you prefer. So just choose whatever here, and I'm going to also turn this to on until first arm. And what this does is whatever setting that you have for your power, it's going to stay at 25 milliwatts until you arm your quad, and it's not going to go back down when you disarm. For example, if you land somewhere aside from your home position and you disarm your quad, it's not going back to 25 milliwatts. So that is the behavior that we want. Going back to the configuration tab, we have to set up our GPS as well. We've already set up our GPS in the ports tab. We have a BN180 connected to our quad, so we choose U-blocks because that's what it is. We don't select Autobaud because the BN180 just wants like 56K, 57K, speed. So we'll just set it to like this, and then we set home point once so that when you land somewhere else aside from where you plug in your battery, it's not going to record that as the new home point. At least when you plug in your battery, that is going to be the home point, and it's not going to change regardless if you have to land your quad or if you crash your quad and you had to disarm it. It's not going to record the new home point, and you can just trigger the GPS rescue me. So let's click on save and reboot, and then head on over to well, you can check your if your quad is outdoors and plugged in, you can go to GPS tab and check if it's picking up any satellites. But for now, it's I'm indoors, and I'm just going to set my failsafe. So everything is good. I've have all of my aux switches set to hold. So that means it's going to keep. It's not going to change anything in case it goes to stage 1 failsafe. But you could also set this to something like 1-800, so that in the event of a stage 1 failsafe, it will automatically level itself off, and that's something that you may want or may not want. That depends on your preference. We're also going to take GPS rescue as the default rescue mode, default failsafe mode, so that when we lose signal, it goes to stage 1, and then the stage 2 failsafe is GPS rescue. It will trigger GPS rescue, and it'll trigger that return to home. So we'll keep everything at default for now, except minimum satellites. It is good, but I'll set it down to 6. And I will allow arming without fix so that I can fly even if I just want to fly freestyle and I don't want I don't want to necessarily have GPS connected or to the satellites. As a warning, if you have this checked, if you're going to fly long range and you need your GPS or something, you might want to check if you have already the minimum satellites connected, or else GPS rescue will not work. So altitude mode is set to maximum altitude, and sanity checks is set to failsafe only. And just click on save and reboot. So right now let's test our motors if they're all spinning in the right direction. First we need to plug in our battery. Okay, now that the battery is plugged in, we tick I understand the risks, and we just spin our motors either one by one, or it's better to see one by one just to check if the right motor is spinning when we do this. Oops, okay. For some reason it didn't spin. So if it's not spinning, maybe you can try something else, like, I don't know, let's just try turning off bidirectional D shot first. Okay, so I know that it's working because all of my motors are making noises, so we'll just turn off the beepers first. So that's one way to know if you've set the right motor protocol. So let's just go back to motors and take I understand the risks again and just try to spin one of these motors. Motor 1 is spinning and it's spinning counterclockwise, so that's right. By the way, this guide is just check if this doesn't determine what directions your motors spin. It just tells Betaflight what motor it expects the motors to spin. So if it's not spinning in this direction, then you've got to set it in BLHeli. But first, we're trying to spin everything. Okay, so from what I can see, motor 2 is not spinning clockwise, it's spinning counterclockwise. 1 is okay. Motor 3 is spinning counterclockwise when it should be spinning clockwise. And finally, motor 4 is spinning counterclockwise, so that's right. So we just need to fix motor 2 and motor 3. And what we need to do is just go to BLHeli suite, BLHeli configurator, I mean, for this ESC. Now, depending on your ESC, you might need to do this in BLHeli suite, but all you need to do is connect and then click on read setup. The interface is going to be different between BLHeli configurator and BLHeli suite, but basically it's basically the same. So once again, it's our ESC 2 and 3 that needs to be reversed. So we just click on reversed on both ESC 2 and 3, and then we need to click right setup. So once that's done, you just click go back to Betaflight and go back to the motors tab. Click I understand the risks, and you can just spin each motor one by one and see if they're now spinning in the right direction. Now you can do this by you can spin them slowly and just feel them with your fingers, and make sure, of course, that you don't have any props attached to these. Okay, so from what I can see, all of my motors are now spinning in the same way as this diagram. So
next, we head on over to the PID tuning tab, where we just keep our PIDs and rates at their defaults, but our filter sliders should be around 1.2, and our dynamic notch width percent we set to 0, and for our dynamic notch min hertz should be around 70 to 100. So let's just set it to 100, and our max would be 350, and then just click on save. Next, we head on over to the Betaflight 4.2 tuning notes. The link would be in the description below. So just scroll down and you will find a section called quick settings, and there are several settings to choose from, and you feel free to choose try one of these settings. But for my TimBurger, I chose the HD settings, so you just select that and click on Ctrl+C to copy, and then head on over back to Betaflight, click on the CLI tab, and just Control V or paste that and press enter, and then type save and then press enter again to save those settings.